Hello, welcome to Oak Street Design. Today I'm going to do a time-lapse video of a crafty creation. Today's creation is a perpetual calendar. I'm featuring the Stampin' Up! Days to Remember stamp, along with the Simply Succulents Bundle, cardstock, and ink and markers. And here's a picture of the final product. This is not actually all finished, but it's just an example of it all propped together. In preparation for creating a calendar that runs from May of 2021 to the end of April of 2022, I'm going to look at my calendar. I'm going to take note of each month, and I want to write down what day the first Saturday lands on. So for example, in May of 2021, the first Saturday in May is the 1st. The first Saturday in June in 2021 is the 5th. After I've taken my notes, I'm going to reorganize the months in order to make it easier for stamping. I'm going to group the ones that have the 1st on a Saturday together, the 2nd in the next group, the 3rd on the Saturday in the next group, and so on. Also, I'm going to take note which months end on which days on my little piece of paper. It's been very helpful to keep me organized. And now we'll start stamping. I have taken an 8.5 by 11 piece of very vanilla cardstock, and I have divided into thirds. These pieces measure 2 3/4 by 11 inches. That leaves behind a 1/4 inch by 11 strip of very vanilla cardstock, which you can save for later. Now I'm going to slice each of these thirds into fourths. This will give me 4 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 inches squares. Perfect for creating your calendar bases. Let's get out our supplies for stamping. So I got out my stamping foam and my block and the actual stamp set. I'm going to mount that to my stamping block, my acrylic block, and get it ready. Now you're going to locate the number 1 on the stamp. It's right in the center, and that is the first one we're going to start with. Whenever you ink up your stamp, it fits perfectly on the narrow edge of your stamp pad. So you can just ink up that full, all 7 columns, and stamp it on your cardstock. Now because the first set has 6 peaks by lines in the calendar, we're going to make sure that that lines up on the bottom edge of our squares. And the ones that start with the 1st on Saturday, that was January and May. They both ended with 31 days. Now I'm stamping April, and April has only 30 days. So what I did is I inked it all up except for the 31, or at least wiped it off, I should say, and then made sure it was dry before I stamped. And then for the month of October, where the Saturday is on the 2nd, I inked up all 31 days. Now the month of July here, it has 31 days, and I can just ink up everything completely, which is awesome. Now we're going to work on Saturday the 4th. And for the month of September, there's only 30 days. So again, I'm going to ink it all up, but I'm going to remove the ink for number 31. You can also see I'm kind of spacing them a little bit higher in the square, just so everything's a little bit more consistent in lining up. And there I stamped December with 31 days. And now let's work on February. Now this one, well, you gotta erase and dry a lot more after you've inked it all up. So there's only 28 days in 2022 for February. And then for the month of June, we have 30 days. Well, not quite as many thanks to erase, but hey. And here we get to stamp the month of March with 31 days. November has the first Saturday on the 6th, and it only has 30 days, so we'll again remove the ink from number 31 and dry it and then stamp it. And finally, we get to stamp the last month, which is August, and there's 31 days. So again, just ink the whole stamp up for that area and stamp it down. And let's clean the block and put it away. And now let's stamp the initials of the days of the week above each calendar. Now there's a few things to note while I'm stamping these. I am stamping in Mossy Meadow, and that's the same thing I did before with the rest of the calendar. I haven't changed the ink. And the other thing, I am using this extra long block. It's actually quite handy to have that long handle so that while I'm recording this, I am not getting my head in the way while I stamp, so you can actually see what I'm doing. And it just helps for me to make sure I'm lining everything appropriately because I don't have the edges of the blocks blocking my view while I'm lining it up above the stamped calendar. After cleaning and putting it away, I'm going to now get out my Old Olive Stampin Write marker along with a ruler and set everything else aside out of my way. Now, with the video, I had a little bit of issues for lining this up and getting it as well as I did with my first version of the calendar. I think it's the fact that I had the camera in the way and was trying not to record my head in the way. But what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get a line, a fine line, using the writing edge of the Stampin' Write marker to make one single line above and below the initials of the days of the week. Just so it kind of gives it a little bit more of an edge, a border, so you can clearly see that that is the titles of the days of the week. Also note, I decided to use Old Olive because it was still within the same color family as in green, but just to make it more of an accent. As I finished drawing out these lines, I wanted to tell you about the card panel I created to mount these calendars upon. So what I did is I cut out of Crumb Cake the Simply Succulents cover plate and then adhered that to a Crumb Cake card panel. Also, I stamped the Simply Succulents larger stamp with ink, and then I used various Stampin' blends to color it in. Now let's finish out these calendar panels. I'm grabbing out my small acrylic block and the Mossy Meadow ink again, and I am stamping out the months on each calendar. I did keep the calendar's panels in order according to my notes. Now I am stamping them on the right hand side, and I'm centering them between the top of the cardstock and the line so it's centered on your right. That allows me to have space that I can either put some kind of decoration, creative lines, or something if I want in that other area. Now, because I've decided to go span 2 years, I'm going to come back through later and hand write the year 2021 and 2022 on the respective calendar days, just so I know which year it's referring to whenever I decide to change out the calendars or if I forget later on. Also, one thing to note, whenever it comes to decoration to your calendar panels, you can also use the other stamps in the set to circle special days in a different color. You can also have birthday balloons, you know, if you want to stamp, like, for example, maybe like light yellow over top of a particular day on a particular month, referring to somebody's birthday that's someone special to you, or the heart. So it's really nice to have those included in the set. It just makes it quite handy. By the way, here you can see I'm actually using my Stampin' Write marker, the brush nib, to try to stamp 2021 on, or 2022 on the January card panel, just to have it as a note that you can also do it that way as well. So here I'm just going to show you how, just to kind of give you a perspective on how big the card panels are in reference to an actual card front. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a wonderful week. Bye.